I'll go ahead and get us started. So, the first thing on the agenda was to review the last meeting's minutes, but I wasn't able to locate them before this meeting. So, I'm going to make sure to keep track of minutes going forward and make sure that we know where they are and all that jazz. The next thing on the agenda is mostly for Pete to lead and talk about the community aggregation.
Right. Yes.
Um,
Yeah, so this is the one item that I'm here for. I'm happy to stay if you have other questions, but this is the item that I'm here about. It's essentially just to explain what happened and why we needed to do an increase on the aggregation rate. Um, so essentially, our rate that we had agreed to included the a DESI or the what's called the how do we what's the breakdown? The daily, where'd it go? Oh, the Day Ahead Ancillary Services Initiative, which essentially is a way to better cost estimate on a day prior basis rather than a future market basis. Um, the problem with the DASI is that it means that there's fluctuations in the rate. We had made an assumption, made an estimation based on the historic changes in the DASI over the previous years, what the rate should be. And that rate, based on the calendar and what was happening, looked fine until this heating season. Um, there was such a significant demand and as well a need to call upon old um, old fossil fuel use power generation that was more costly that ended up jumping the DASI cost. And so what our estimated DASI rate was significantly lower than what ended up happening within the New England OSI, OSI, ISO. And so because of that, we essentially needed to right size our rate, so increase that DASI rate in order to compensate for that significant increase that happened. So that rate increase is minimal. It's essentially what breaks down to an increase of, let me just get that number real quick. It's less than $1 a month on an average energy bill. But that increase means that currently now our lowest um, program rate is still slightly higher than the base energy supply rate because the Eversource basic supply rate is locked in until August. Um, they will then do another change, and theirs will likely have to compensate for this rate change that happened to all of us in the fluctuating market, such that Eversource will significantly go up at the latter half of the year. But right now, we are slightly higher. So we did publish on the town website the impacts of the rate increase, the rationale why that happened, um, where that market is, and reminding people that they can certainly opt out and then they can opt back in come August for their September rate or their September bill. So it is there. I did ask Colonial Power, which is our consulting company, if we can at this time then modify our product offering so that our default program is the cheapest possible program. Even that default program, we could do it essentially. Um, it would only create a difference in price of 0.00093 cents per kilowatt hour, which essentially is a savings of 0.56 dollars a month. So it would still be a little bit higher than the Eversource rate. We're at so our new rate, if we were to go to meeting just mass requirement, it would still be 14 cents, well, 0.14112, which is still slightly higher than Eversource, and it would be a very minimal rate savings against that if we were to change to that from what we currently have at the 100%.
So my question about all that is that, and I would, I think, be challenged to explain that to my neighbor, but
Mhm.
suffice it to say, part of what we wanted to do is to have a default setting that had a fair chunk of renewable electricity. How does this all affect that? It sounds like the the renewable, it doesn't add that much of a cost, or does it?
Well, let's step back. We're not changing our programs because our
Oh, okay.
programs currently are exactly what you and I and Nat agreed to before when we signed this contract. It's just saying that we adjusted the rate on those three plans. But what I'm saying is if we're really concerned about that default package still being higher than Eversource, we could change the default package back to just meeting mass requirement, but even doing that is not going to save at all. It's essentially 56 cents a month of savings for the average user just to bring it down a little bit
56 cents a month
a month
or
on
a
the app for the
kilowatt?
average user.
Man, that's nothing.
Right,
I mean, don't tell the average user I said that, but it's not
right.
very much money. I
Essentially, it's inexpensive for us to keep it at the default at
Okay.
100% renewable.
All right.
The
Good.
average user is paying 56 cents simply to get that higher level of renewable sources.
Good. It's a
Yeah, I'm
bargain.
not suggesting at all that we change our package offering. I just wanted to give you that information because Dan Dennehy brought it up.
That's right.
And
Which
so my point is, yeah, we could do it, but it's not going to, the average household is not going to, they're going to see 56 cents
did you
back.
tell Dan that?
Oh, no, nope.
Okay. So he may get back to me and say, "Well, what's the deal?"
Yep,
So I'll tell him we're talking 56 cents a month
yep,
for 100% renewable, right?
correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing is more of this the fact that, you know, we do these aggregation agreements in order to provide a fixed rate so that there's essentially predictability for our residents and our businesses to know what their at least their supply cost is going to be. Here we are adjusting it because and so the fixed now becomes a quotation fixed because we did have to change that fixed rate, and it's because the market, that the regulatory change that happened on that one element called the DASI did on the regulatory side shift upwards, and we did not compensate for such a significant, so we had to change our rate in order to meet that cost increase.
Okay.
But our aggregation group with all the other towns based on this one experience, we don't want to go with a contract that has a DASI. We want a going back to what was called um what was the phrase before the longer term, what is it called? Oh, the forward reserve market, where the forward reserve market basically does not fluctuate. It does mean it creates more stability. It's just that the regulators thought that DASI would work well, and DASI has not worked well. Definitely not within the ISO New England market. I don't know how the other ISOs work or have fared based on the this current winter season, but in New England, DASI was extremely disruptive to our rates.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. All right.
So this was more just I want to let you guys know because the Energy Committee does obviously advise on this. Because of the massive increase, we had to act quickly as the multiple communities to act on that to safeguard the our contracts. So that's why we agreed to the that minimal increase. We don't anticipate, but we never know. We don't anticipate needing to do another increase because we're essentially out of the coldest part, or what should be the coldest part of the season.
Hmm.
And so the need for calling upon those antiquated electrical providers or energy providers shouldn't be needed.
Okay, good. Well,
I know it's confusing, but I know, Paul, you know this a little bit more, but still, it's confusing.
yeah, right. Well, I'm sure Caroline will come up to speed instantly.
Yeah, instantly.
Right up her alley. Electricity rates. Oh yes. Well, she can. I'll turn Dan over to her, so
Yeah.
that'll solve that problem.
And you
Well,
can
I
always direct Dan to me too. Sorry, go ahead, Caroline.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I don't have any like follow-up questions about it. Like, it doesn't seem like it makes sense to make any changes at this point in terms of like 100% renewables are the default. And so, like, I was just gonna say thank you for joining us and getting that on our radar and all that.
Yeah. Yeah, my biggest concern is community aggregation is intended to be its function is to create that predictability, and we do this as a service, a free service to community members. So I feel bad that we had to do a change soon after the contract was signed. It's just due to the formula that was set up in the ISO New England, which we hope the regulators will get rid of that functionality and go back to the
Mm.
previous methodology. But it is something that we unfortunately faced. I think, the minimal increase thankfully shouldn't be at all that impactful. And yeah, and our at least our product offerings are staying exactly the same. It's just the rate had to be adjusted slightly. So if there are questions or anybody does bring up anything, you can certainly direct them to me. But we do have the information posted on the news section in the town website, as well as on the aggregation webpage. So if you go to the homepage, the main in the one and only call out area with what, like a dozen different links, the electric aggregation link that goes to the Colonial Power website that outlines everything about our aggregation plan and our costs.
Okay.
Okay. Well, and let us know if any like in the future, like if we're looking at new contracts and whatnot, like if there's any type of like advocacy that's needed, like maybe that's something that we can look out for of like where like maybe as a coalition of towns or maybe just as committees to be like, hey, like this is what's happened in the past. It's sort of like unfairly targeting like an area that does have big fluctuations in energy use, but like maybe that's something to think about next contract round or something of, how can we best place ourselves to not
Yeah,
have
no,
to
that's
do these increases.
yeah, that's a great idea. I'll definitely. I know a number of the other town administrators that were on the call when we were discussing whether we were going to do the rate increase was also they were also going to go to their energy committees. So the next time we have a meeting with Colonial, hopefully we can collaborate on what we should do with our energy committees and our select boards in order to for the advocacy element.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Good
certainly.
idea. Good.
Just looking ahead at the other items, is there anything else that you need from me?
Not need. The next thing was like discussion of town offices, decarbonization and green community grant opportunities, if you'd like to stay for that. That's completely up to you, but I was just going to um, update on the conversation that we had with Mark Rabinski about the HVAC potential whole decarbonization plans and things like that. I'm not sure if we'll make any decisions about it, but just to get everybody caught up.
Yeah, yeah, why don't you tomorrow we can catch up if there is anything that you guys decide that you would like to move forward with, or if there's questions. Um, I'm happy to look into it.
All right, perfect. Well,
Okay.
thank you, Pete.
Great.
Good luck with the
All right.
snow.
Stay warm.
Thanks a lot, Pete. Yep, you too.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Okay.
Okay, so Paul, it's great to meet you, and I'm still quite new, so I'm still, dipping
Sure,
my
I bet
feet
you are.
into all
Yeah.
these things. But
I'm just trying to get back on my Zoom.
all right, so I guess the only other thing I'm still on the Zoom, and I'm just recording, and it should be able to pick up your audio as well because I have you on speakerphone on my phone. Um, but so what I wanted to discuss was, as you probably know, Whately has been a designated green community for a long time,
A long time.
but we have never um, utilized the grant opportunities that come from the Green Communities um, office. And or any grant money that we have used, we typically use them for the elementary school.
Yes.
Just because the elementary school tends to be our largest energy user, which makes a lot of sense. But recently in the town offices, our HVAC has
Yes.
not been working properly.
Okay.
And so, when I first started, Pete had suggested that I look into some green community opportunities to see if we could use some grant money to replace the HVAC system and potentially update it with either in theory, a heat pump, but maybe a geothermal heat pump in the ground or just a regular air pump. And that sort of sent me down the road of the green communities. Pete and I met with Mark Rabinski, who is the like kind of our regional coordinator for Western Mass. And he had sort of two types of suggestions. There's two types of grants that they offer. Okay. One is a technical assistance grant. And in theory, that would help us develop like a decarbonization plan for buildings, town buildings that we deem as high using. So that could be the elementary school. We could focus on the town offices since there is a need for weatherization, new lighting, and the HVAC.
Yeah.
So that's an option of like we could do like a technical assistance route and then build a decarbonization plan and then apply for a separate grant to then implement that plan.
Okay.
Or
Sounds reasonable.
yeah, or we can sort of skip the technical assistance and plan development and just sort of get right to the implementation of, we would like XYZ for our town offices and things like that. So I wanted to bring it to the committee to just discuss because it is focused on, lowering energy use in the town offices. And, I just wanted to get some feedback on the direction that we're going. And it's my understanding that solar panels will be installed on the town offices.
Yes.
Very soon, as soon as the snow melts, if all goes well. And that would very much complement a new HVAC. And so I just wanted to bring it to the committee to discuss, the options.
Right. Well, I think to discuss the options, we have to know not only what the options are, but, what's involved, how much they cost, the payback and such. And it seems like I'm not sure what the green communities thing, I think, was before we even moved into the new town offices, but I could be wrong. I'm not sure there were many measures that I saw relevant to the town offices, except for the solar.
Mm-hmm.
But I've not been an active committee member, to say the least. I'm trying to get back into it.
Okay.
So I mean, doing a plan. You're suggesting doing a feasibility study?
Well, I guess I'm not really suggesting one over the other. There's just two options, and I'm not entirely sure which direction to go in.
Where did these options come from?
From the grant options. There's sort of like a plan development grant, and then there's like an implementation grant. So one would give us the money to like do a full, like you said, like a feasibility study of like, if we do this, this is how much energy and therefore money we'll save. For the implementation grant, that's just the money to actually do the work.
Right, but before it seems like we got a cart and a horse here. It seems like the horse is the implementation plan, and then the cart is the actual do the work, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't know that we have. I think we have to do the plan first, and then that will give us a lot more information about what's involved and the costs and the payback and all that stuff, unless I'm misunderstanding. And then we can proceed to the implementation.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't want to give up our chances for one if we do one and not the other.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And I think like at least from my conversation with Mark Rubinski and Pete, if we were to do the implementation route, like and just go for it, we would certainly have Mass Save come and evaluate the building to give us very clear directions before we start the implementation. It just, I think to me, it depends on how in depth of a study we want. And because I think between Pete and I, there are three things that certainly we would like done for the building, which is an updated HVAC system, weatherization of the building, and updated lighting. So for updating all the lighting to LED. So those to us are three very clear things that we would like, but if we do the study, that could reveal some other projects.
A study on the town offices building.
Say it again?
A study on the town offices.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, that building. Now, we also have the elementary school, which you mentioned, which I've always thought, I don't know if we can do this, but I've always thought that it's a good location for solar energy. If you put solar panels either out in the field, away from where the kids play,
Mm-hmm.
but have a solar array that would supply energy to the building.
Mm-hmm.
Another measure in the building is that it's my impression that the boiler, I think it's a gas-fired boiler,
Mm-hmm.
is on its last legs, perhaps, but I don't know that. It may have 20 more years in it. But it's been, I think that school, it's over 25 years old,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm not mistaken. But there's a possibility for savings using 2 or 3 pumps to move the hydronic water around, the heating water around, that would enable us to operate at a lower capacity. If we had, there's some schemes one can get involved in heating a building like that. One can have 2 small boilers, so as opposed to one big one, and that would reduce our losses because one big one is going to have to heat up the water. It's built to supply the design temperature, which means as cold as it's likely to get. And if we have that come on just because we have a slightly cooler day, when we could heat it with one boiler, a small boiler, that would save energy. Of course, I don't know what the costs are involved in that, and I don't know I don't know that we've done a study on that, but that would be one thing. We've already put mini splits in the school.
Yep.
There may be an option to put a couple more in. I'm not sure. I haven't seen any recommendations about that. But those are two of the things that I would consider for the elementary school.
Yeah.
Three things: the heat pump, the solar array, and a different configuration for the boiler. If it needs to be replaced, I'm not sure what it may be that it's got lots of life left in it, but I kind of doubt it.
Yeah, and I can check in about the boiler. I know from conversations I've had with Pete, there have been conversations about getting solar on the roof of the elementary school, but before that can take place, the roof needs to be replaced.
Right, and I'm not convinced we need to put the solar on the roof, although we could. We could have it out in the field. There's plenty of southern exposure out on the field, unless the roof needs to be replaced anyway.
I think that was the sticking point, was that the roof needs to be, I might be wrong about this, but it was my understanding that the roof needs to be replaced regardless. But I can follow up on that.
Yeah, I mean, if the roof needs to be replaced, then makes the solar on the roof look more economical and efficient than putting it out somewhere. The only problem with putting it on the roof is that we have a fair amount of pine trees in front of the roof. Do we want to cut them down for the solar? I don't know. And it may be that the roof is big enough we could put it on, not the whole roof, but some of the roof that's most clearly unobstructed by the trees. But again, these are questions that we need to have somebody more familiar with all this look at, and this would be a feasibility study kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me as well. Like a feasibility study of, or like two, top energy use buildings, which is the elementary school and the town offices.
Yes, without a doubt. That's right.
Okay. And I agree. I think that seems like the direction we should go. I believe that the technical assistant grant applications are every 6 months. So it's not like if we miss one earlier in this year, it won't come again until next year.
Yeah.
But I do think that, it seems like that's the direction we want to go in, and so we should start looking into the technical assistance grant and see what we need in terms of information to move forward on that.
I tend to agree. I haven't seen a lot of. I did see. I have a folder of energy stuff, and there was an energy audit done, I believe, in 2015.
Okay.
But by Bart Bales, and I don't know that he considered any of these particular measures.
Oh, okay.
He did consider modifying the HVAC for the school and replacing the lights with LEDs, which I think we've done.
Yes.
So that's off the table. So that's good. But he didn't have many other recommendations besides the lighting. And frankly, that's not a big savings, but we did it, and I think it's a good thing to have done. But I think we might get more bang for our buck if we I don't know what the situation is for the town offices with regard to the functionality of the HVAC controls and the energy system management. That might be oftentimes the most efficient thing you can do is just have a system that controls the temperature reliably. So like have the thermostat automatically go down when the building's not occupied. That's trivial, but it's the best energy saving you can get. And if we don't have that, we desperately need to do that. And that's a low cost, high return measure.
Yeah.
So I'd be thinking about that. As far as geothermal, I don't know enough about geothermal to say that's a good idea. Again, I would defer to a consultant who had some experience with geothermal. It's too bad Matt's not here with us because he has geothermal in his backyard.
Oh, It's I've talked to a few people about geothermal, I guess, in order to evaluate whether or not it would even be a good fit for the town offices. Like, we would need a soil test to see if, the soil would be even a good match, and we would have to have enough space on site to actually hold it, underground. And so in general, an evaluation would be needed for it, which could be part of a study that green communities could fund. It's my understanding that geothermal has the most is more expensive in the upfront in terms of like actually installing it and setting it up, but has more savings in the long run.
That may well be. I don't know, but it certainly is expensive to do it.
Yes, it is. It is. So if we were to do it, it would certainly be with a grant, I think.
Well, yeah, I'd like to see a life cycle cost analysis of whatever we're planning, and just to make sure that the payback is not longer than the life of the building.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So that would be my concern.
Okay.
I have some information. There's, I think, Frontier has been doing stuff. I don't know if you're in communication with the Frontier people.
I am not, no.
Are you just Whately?
Yes.
So I think there are people that are out there who've done work on this. And I can't find my folder of that work, but I can email you what I do come up with.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay.
And I want to be respectful of your time. It is 2:30. And maybe we could briefly talk about, if we want to meet again. I think that would be helpful to get Nat up to speed and get his feedback. I had just, let me see if I can find it again.
I mean, Nat is very, professor of physics at Smith, and I think he's been involved in their geothermal. They're using geothermal to heat the whole campus.
Yeah, that's similar to what Mount Holyoke is trying to do right now.
Yes, it's very similar, I think. So I'm sorry he couldn't join us today.
Oh, that's okay. I'm just pulling up he had sent me his calendar ahead of time to help with scheduling and whatnot. It looks like in general he seems to be open on Mondays around 1:30. I don't know if it would be helpful to meet like in 2 weeks. And in the meantime, I can look into the Green Communities technical assistance grant and find out what type of information we would need and what an application would look like. And then we can discuss that. Okay. Okay.
For sure.
So let's see. I just had it pulled up again. Okay. How about would Monday, March 9th at 1:30 work for you as our next meeting in 2 weeks?
I will tell you in a minute. Monday, March 9th. Okay. All right, calendar, here we are. June, another one, June, how about March? March 9th is open.
All right. Sounds good. Okay, so I will similarly to this past meeting, I will create an agenda and make sure it gets to the town clerk in time. And
Okay.
I'll set up our next meeting for Monday, March 9th at 1:30.
All right, good.
Well,
And I'll send you anything that I think might be relevant.
that'd be great. Thank you, Paul.
Okay, sure.
Well, it was great to meet
problem.
with you and great to chat with you.
Right, and great to see you for a few minutes.
I'm sure we'll see each other. We'll see each other in 2 weeks. We'll
Yeah.
speak it into the ethers.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Well, have a great rest of your day.
Well, you too.
All right. Bye, Paul.
Bye-bye.